Hi everybody, and have you seen your productivity gets affected by the relationship issues that you have at home. So that has been quite a problem, and many people, because I'm a lady, they cannot share their issues, mindset issues with me, and so I thought, why not talk about it? And relationship issues is such a problem, everybody requires to be loved, but it becomes an issue because of some mindset issue, and because many of us don't actually know about the basic things. Do you know, for example, I'm a lady, right? So with your wife, do you know how she wants to be loved? And is it a very big issue if I talk about it? So here is what I'm going to talk about it without embarrassing you and me also. I hope this helps in giving you some insight about how to become intimate. I'm not talking about physical intimacy because that is an understatement, but your mind needs to be intimate with your spouse, uh, so that your home life becomes synchronized, right? You have to be in sync with your partner. That is how you create no intimacy. So the next stage of that is intimacy, but what I am talking about is your understanding and how the mindset should be. There is so I'll be discussing about 9 steps here, and hope this will be helpful for you. The first thing is letting the guard down. You cannot be with your ego and still become intimate with somebody, because the other person will not connect. And when you become intimate, how do you connect heart to heart with anybody? Not only spouse, but with anybody. Don't you think that when you are allowing yourself to be vulnerable, that is when the other person connects with you, because you are allowing a part of you to be exposed in front of another person, and allowing that person to see inside you, your heart. It can be a mistake on your part also, and you are trusting another person to see that part of you which was not very moral or according to the social standards, right? So that is the first thing. Allow your vulnerability to surface, right? Second thing here is the subset of this is, you might be allowing the other person to be vulnerable. You are accepting, no judgment, right? You are connecting, accepting the other person as a human being. Whatever is happening with you might be happening with your partner, right? The person you are close to. That has to be your mindset, right? So that is number one, letting your guard down. The second thing is the very most important thing. You can be very intimate without touching another person. You can touch emotions, right? And it is so very difficult for many people to touch emotions. That is what I have observed. And the movies, the circumstances, the psychology nothing is supporting this kind of standing. But again, uh, the other person might not be ready for your touch. Like say it might be looked at like interfering in that person's privacy, you know. So unless the other person is comfortable with your space, you are not going to violate the other person's space. Do you understand this point? This is very important. So wait, are you looking to befriend a person, right? Are you looking for winning a heart? That doesn't happen without an emotional connect. Do you agree with me on that point? And why I am talking again, I should remind you, because this is what, because you are disturbed at home, you can't figure out what is happening with your space, right? That is why you are not figuring that sensibility you need to develop to understand more about workplace also. The other person's emotion, there has to be some knack inside you to understand the other person's emotion, to start understanding the other person, right? So it doesn't matter whether that person is a wife or a friend, both of them are same, right? You don't have right over neither your wife, your spouse, your husband, nor anybody. You have only control over yourself, right? So you need to understand that. Point number 2. Third is, have you discovered any trigger? Do you know what irks the other person? How you make the other person angry? If you have learned that, then you must have known about how that person also becomes happy. Have you learned that? Have you figured that out? Have you given yourself time to understand what makes the other person happy? Don't go by the popular things that women love gifts. They of course love gifts, but more than those gifts, anybody in this world would like the gift of attention, right? So find out what kind of attention and how you can be attentive to what needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs. Spiritual needs is very rare, but in any case, if your spouse is spiritually oriented, then this might be one trigger that you will be missing. Not many people are spiritual, so if your spouse is spiritual, might be you are not. But if that is the trigger between you two, then I think it is time that you discover that. And if you want to win person, your partner, you need to appreciate that aspect also. Are you with me? Because many people don't understand this, right? Then physical intimacy, right? Skin contact. So you are contacting, if you are feeling very close, you have to remember that you should not violate the space. That means before the permission is granted to come near, don't get closer. What does that mean? 2-meter radius from yourself is the private space. Do you know that? Right? Wherever you are sitting, like say I am sitting here, 2 meters from either side, that is my private space. You are not coming to that space, right? Without permission. So, what about your wife? It is not me, it is even with a colleague. This has to be observed. You are not going anywhere near within 5 meters of radius of your colleague or your spouse. So if that is something, it's because something you don't know. You are not supposed to know everything, right, from the beforehand. So if somebody is angry, you are, how can you know? You are not you are not sitting inside the mind of somebody else, right, the spouse. So give yourself time to figure that out. Right? And suppose nothing has worked, then experiment together. So I was listening to a couple who design their everyday, how they will behave with each other. So I was very curious to know how they design each other's day. So what they do is, like, we write our goal every day, gratitude every day, right? Affirmations we repeat every day. In the same way, they design every moment of their life and they write it down and they abide by that. It has become a habit with them. So the initial um, intimacy, initial closeness, that has not died down. It has been retained because they have retained that inside their mind. How grand is that? For me, being a lady, might be you see that I am becoming very romantic, but who stops you from experimenting? So experiment it with your spouse. Whether at least try for a day, design a day. No, write down how you will behave with her from the morning to the night. Because I am a lady, I am referring your spouse as her. It can be a him. If you are a lady listening to this, then I am talking about your spouse, your husband, right? When does intimacy is withheld? When, if you are trying and the other person is withdrawing, what has happened? Do you know what has happened? Can you tell me? Anybody in the chart, can you tell me what has happened? There might be some instances of judging your spouse. Sometime you have made fun of him or her. That is holding them back. They are not opening up with you. Now whose fault is that? It might look very obvious and just casual for you, but in very close, intimate relationships, this is a strict no-no. Would you agree with me? Right? And many people, the other point is, many people find it very difficult to express themselves. Right? And they make it so complex. Like, say, I'm from Orissa, right? And the poems have become very complex also. It is a love poem, and the way they express is, like, say, it goes off my head. So that is not an excuse. If suppose my husband is a poet and I am not able to understand what he is writing, then it is a crime if I don't understand. I take it as that. So if it is him, my husband, my spouse, or a friend, it is their emotion, right? We don't understand, that is our fault. But if we are being complicated, then we should make an effort to make it simple. Make it simple, right? And mind you, why I am talking all about all this? Because our personal life, our inner happiness, comes from our relationship with our very close people, right? And if that is failed, no way we are going to be productive. We need to acknowledge that. So in order to be productive to our spouse at our office space, we need to conquer this, right? So keep it simple. Be as simple as that. Don't make it complicated. If you are being very simple, no, you are not hiding anything. You are not trying to hide anything. Keep it straight. Even if it is a mistake, you are admitting. You are okay to face the backlash that is coming. if you are shocking somebody, obviously that person is going to react, right? So in your head, accept that, right, for the time being. And the last point is, if you have spoken one to one with somebody, right, then whether it is wrong or right, that is between you two, right? You are not going to check it from a third party, because the person you have spoken to is a person who deserves your trust. And if you don't trust that person, you have to sort that out with him or her. You don't have any right to go to another person and try to learn from that person whether this has been wrong or right. This you need to be resolved between you two. If you haven't done that, it is a crime. So these are the 9 points, about 9 points which I have thought of today to tell you. Trust me, this makes a lot of difference. So if you are okay with this, then give me comments, and if you want to learn something more, come to my webinar. Although it is not for say relationship issues, I talk about the productivity of working professionals and people who are change makers, who are okay to try everywhere, innovate everywhere, even in relationships. For them I have been talking today about that subject. It has nothing to do with relationships, and I am not a relationship coach. I am a leadership growth mentor, right? So, but if I see somebody troubled by personal issues, then I thought I should address this. So this is it. There is a link in the description below, so you can go to that link or ask me as to where you can register yourself, right? I'll be anyway in the description or somewhere. I'll post that link, and you can come, or you can register for my free webinar, and also you can demand for a better discussion. So that's it. Thank you for watching.